This is Beauty for Ashes, an original poem by Teresa Paton. Mental health is a funny thing. I never used to notice when I would slip into heaviness or fear. I knew I was feeling things, but I never noticed the gobs of red flags trying to warn me to take a step back and process what I was feeling. We tend to throw around the term being self-aware all the time. But until I was 20, I had no idea how little I knew about what that phrase actually meant. See, when you're not self-aware, you can ride around on autopilot and not think a thing about the hard things that happen, and if you might have contributed to them. You get to be blissfully ignorant of how broken and toxic you might be. You are unknowingly harming others and blaming them for your problems because you're a good person and you aren't the one with the problem, they are. Sometimes you just lose your top. So what? Doesn't everyone? But having this falsified view of what is really happening is incredibly dangerous. It has so many negative impacts for you and the people around you. When I was younger, I did not understand why I would do certain things. But instead of diving deeper and investigating, I would just say, I guess that's just how I am, and leave it at that. I usually wouldn't give it a second thought, because I had no grid for how to truly process emotions and experiences in a healthy way. So I just bumbled along from painful experience to painful experience, not thinking twice about why. I didn't realize till I was 20 years old that there was so much more to life than that, and that I could actually keep my emotions in check. It was an excruciating journey, and there were many times I was tempted to revert back to my old self. Because honestly, it was easier blaming others for my own issues than the day I realized as an adult that what I had been dealing with my whole life was actually an anxiety disorder and depressive tendencies. It was a long and hard road to self-awareness. There were times where it felt like the world was going to come crashing down around me and that no one would possibly love me. Times when I was so paralyzed by fear and insecurities that I couldn't get out of bed. Moments where I would experience such a deep desire to God to just fix me that I couldn't bear the thought of trying to trudge on as I was. But the difference was this time I knew why. I understood why that was what I was feeling and why I was doing the things I did. I was suddenly very aware of my brokenness and my shortcomings, and that was the moment I truly began living. No longer living on autopilot, I began to see life as God had intended me to live it. The bumbling became more intentional movement. The investigating became more natural. And the strong desire to shove down my emotions and ignore them began to lift. I was able to finally see the ways God had been working in my life all those years and how He was moving then. The fog that I had grown so accustomed to began slowly lifting. It was in those times of extreme surrender and radical vulnerability with God and others that I saw Him clearly for the first time in my life. It is those times when we let ourselves surrender to Him in our despair, when we're burnt out, when we're at the end of ourselves, that He has the most ashes to work with. He promises to give us beauty for ashes. He promises to restore the years that the locusts have eaten. And who am I to say that He can't redeem a damaged, sexually broken, abused, insecure, anxiety-ridden little girl? He has room to move when we are aware of ourselves, but He has so much more when we are aware of what He is doing in us. Thank you.